Hello, Michelle. How are you doing today?
Hi, Lindsay. I'm good. I'm in another location today. We're moving all
Yeah.
around in my topsy-turvy
Yeah.
summer, but
Topsy
that's fine.
turvy summer. Guys, if you
Yeah,
missed that episode, we did an episode about Michelle's topsy turvy summer. If you're not sure what that word means, go and find that other episode, right, Michelle?
definitely, definitely. But Lindsay, I want to ask you a question. Ooh,
Okay.
this is a tough one. Have you gotten into any big arguments in your life?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, luckily right now there's nothing huge like life-changing, life-shaking argument that comes to mind, but for example, with my brother, I guess we have gotten into some arguments over the last couple of years as we've been in close touch
Mm.
dealing with family stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yep, that'll do it.
Uh,
That's a common
uh
argument. Yeah, I think everybody gets into, I mean, don't they say that if you don't argue with your partner, that usually that's not a good thing because you're holding
yeah.
things in or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a natural part of life, but today we're not going to talk about the argument part. We're going to talk about the nice part of getting past the argument
Getting
and
past the argument.
yeah,
Yes.
and healing those relationships because that's the best part, of course. And actually, just a few days ago over the weekend on our Sassy Saturdays, we did All Ears English. Do you bicker with your family members? So go and listen
Yes.
to that one. You can learn a little bit more about arguments, but today we're not talking about arguing.
Yeah, guys, don't forget that we publish on Saturdays now, Sassy
Yep.
Saturdays. So go over and find those Saturday episodes. Make sure you check your podcast queue because we'll be dropping into your queue so you can listen on the weekends, right? And in order to drop into your queue, you need to be hitting follow,
Yes.
right? You
Yep.
need to hit that follow button so we'll just show up for you as soon as that episode is available. All right?
That's right.
Good. Okay.
All right. So, Lindsay, what do you think are some of the top things people argue about?
Oh my gosh, money for
Yeah.
sure. Money number one.
Yeah, that's what I've heard is especially in romantic relationships, it's money
Yes.
is the number one thing. Also, I
Yeah.
would say politics, right? That's
Oh,
probably at the top,
yeah.
especially well, I can't even say
Mhm.
especially now because I feel like since
Ugh.
2016 or before, it's been politics. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, what else do people argue about?
I think they probably argue about their kids, family,
Mm.
that sort of thing, the right way, the right choices to make for their kids and their family,
Ah, yeah.
or maybe about their like aging parents, right?
Oh,
In
that
many cases, aging parents, and especially I think around the world, this happens more than in the US. Aging parents might be living with you, right? So
mm.
multi-generational families, these could be sources of arguments for sure. What's the best thing to do for this person?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, today we are going to talk about getting past an argument with
Yeah.
someone.
Yes.
So once you got all the nasty stuff out, and what are we gonna
Yeah.
do next?
Yeah.
So let's go through some of this vocabulary, Lindsay. What's the first one?
Okay. So the first one is to make up, right? So this is
Hmm.
broad and it just means to say everything is okay now, right? To end the argument. It's
Right.
kind of a benchmark and say, okay, at this point we have like, we're okay,
Yeah.
right? The fight happened and we're okay now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
do we have an example of that?
Yeah. Here's one. They fought for weeks, but they finally made up when their friend forced them to talk. Right. And
Ooh.
this could be for families, partners, teenagers in school. It could be for any kind of relationship. Not so much for business though. Would you say if there's some kind of
No.
argument, it's not the same thing. It's too personal.
No, yeah, makeup is very personal sounding.
Personal.
Friend, romantic partner, family
Yes.
member, but yeah, not really at work. That's
Not
an
business.
interesting point.
That is interesting. I wonder what it would be at work. I'm not sure. Maybe
Mm.
we'll explore that on Business English another day,
Yeah,
right?
that would be good.
Yeah,
Yep.
cool. Okay,
Well,
another
this
one?
one I think could work for the workplace. It's to
Yeah.
bury the hatchet. What does that
Ooh.
mean?
What is a hatchet about? Is a hatchet like a hammer? What is a
I
hatchet?
know. I was just thinking that too. I think of it as like an axe. Hold on.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Right? Like
I
because
think it's a small
Hatchet. I'm
axe,
looking
like a
up
handheld
hatchet.
axe as far as I know. So
Yeah,
that
it's an
sounds kind
axe.
of crazy. Why are we talking about axes here? We're not talking about physical violence, okay? That's the first
No, no,
thing
no.
we have to know.
To me, this is a more, well, I mean, it is more metaphorical. I guess this comes from this idea that the hatchet is the weapon, the arguing, right? And so
Yeah.
if you're burying it, it's still there, but you're just putting it away and you're basically, yeah, it's dead.
Yeah, you're bearing the argument. It's probably a very old expression. You could look up the etymology of this. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
we do still use this in
Yeah.
American English. It's really interesting, even though it just feels very archaic, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
So you could say, I don't want to fight anymore. Can we just bury the hatchet?
Yeah, and I could totally see saying this to a romantic partner at
Yeah.
home, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you've been fighting for a week straight. Every night at dinner, it's like, at each other's throats,
Ooh.
right?
Yep.
And then finally, can we just bury the hatchet, please? And we understand what that means, guys. So the native English here, really slangy
Mhm.
English. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Next one is good. Make peace.
Mm.
Simple, right? Meaning is
Right.
obvious, right,
Yeah.
Michelle?
We're
Yes.
making peace, right?
Yes.
So the siblings made peace at the family reunion after 4 years of not talking. Ooh.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Um, I was in a group of friends last night and people were talking about long time arguments they have with their
Oh,
siblings, and I couldn't believe it. Like, it just strikes me. And some people will go for years and years without talking to, family members, siblings, that kind of thing. And it's
yeah.
so crazy. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I definitely there are some family members of mine who have that kind of relationship with their siblings, not with
Really.
my
Yeah.
sibling, but
Yeah.
and it's very sad to me, and I feel
Yeah.
I don't I can't imagine that ever happening with me,
I
with my
know.
brother and
Well,
me.
that's
Yeah.
what I think too, but yeah, it's just crazy. It's like 20 years, and
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
talking. It's wild. It's
Yep.
wild.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anyways,
Yep.
next one, this one's good. Forgive and forget. Also very personal, right? Pretty personal. This
Yes.
wouldn't be something I would, say to a business colleague, let's forgive and forget. Because usually in business, you don't
No.
really get that hurt. You know what I mean? You don't get hurt.
Right,
Business
right,
is
it's
business. Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
right, right. Yeah, this would be a little too vulnerable for the
Too
workplace.
vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, let's forgive and forget. It's not worth fighting anymore. Okay. Good.
Right. So, but sometimes do you ever hear someone say, "I can forgive, but I can never forget"?
Ugh, gosh.
There's
I think if
yeah,
someone said that to me, I'd be like, I'd roll my eyes a little bit because then at that point, it's that person's problem.
right. That means
You
they're
you
holding a
know,
grudge.
they're holding a grudge, which is actually way more painful for the person holding the grudge than the other person who's probably
Right.
moved
Hanging
on.
on to that. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes people have that feeling of, okay, maybe we'll get past this time, but I'm like, I always am going to keep it with me because it almost feels like you're tallying up mistakes the other person has made,
Yeah.
right? It's I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Better to
dangerous.
forget, I think.
I agree. It's better for you as the person who's been hurt, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
why do you think people fight for a long time? Why is it a certain personality type? Or is it something else?
I do think there is a bit of a personality type.
Mhm.
Some people do. I hate to say it, maybe crave the drama, or
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, for
the,
sure. Mhm.
I mean, it's exciting to fight, right? And not in a good way. For me, it just makes me very upset. I remember fighting with a friend in college a few times, and I felt almost sick to my stomach when it would
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It's just when something isn't right
Yeah.
between, like with a friend or someone,
Yeah.
I don't feel right. Even with my son, if I feel like if I feel
Yeah.
like he's unhappy with me, or we're just, my soul feels different. Yeah,
100%. I feel exactly the same way. It's just you can't move on with your life in a
yeah,
normal way. It's just you want to move on. Yeah.
right,
So some people, hey, I think it's ego. I think it's ego
yeah,
drama. The ego loves drama.
yeah.
And when people are just kind of focused on the wrong things, wanting to stay engaged with that drama is pretty toxic, right,
Yeah,
Michelle? Yeah.
absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right.
And then here's a little bonus one: is
Mhm.
life is too short. So
Yes.
this is very common. Lindsay, tell us about this one.
Oh, you hear this a lot. You hear this a lot in response to when someone is trying to say why they're not going to hang on to something.
Mhm.
You know, let's just move on. Life is too short, or sometimes you see life is short. Let's
Mhm.
take that vacation to New Zealand or
Right, right.
something.
Life is short. Eat the cake. Like,
Yeah.
right, you
I
on
always
a
eat the
little
cake,
plaque
Michelle.
or something. Yeah.
Always eat the cake.
Right. Yeah. So we could do a whole episode on life is too short, life's too short, because
Sure,
that's
sure,
pretty
sure.
common.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, so should we do a role play?
Yeah, let's do a role play. So here you and I are friends, but we haven't spoken in 2 weeks because we had an argument 2 weeks ago. Ooh, yeah. So I
Uh-oh.
would also be having not a good physical I'd be having a physical response probably in some way, and it's almost like your lizard brain comes out,
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
not good. It's not a good feeling. So here we
Not
go.
good.
Okay,
Okay.
Michelle, I really want to make peace now. It just isn't worth it. We are such close friends.
I know. I'm just still getting over everything that happened, but I want to make up too. It just takes time.
I know. Life is too short to fight though. Can we just bury the hatchet?
Hmm. Okay. Let's just forgive and forget.
Great. Okay, so it sounds like probably I did something to you,
Yeah.
right? There was
Yeah.
some kind of argument. Maybe I went on a date with your boyfriend or
Uh-oh.
something. I don't know. Something really bad.
Right.
And yeah, so let's go back through it. Here we go, Michelle.
Okay.
What did you say? What did I say
Yeah.
first?
You said I really want to make peace. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you want
Yes.
to
Yes.
you want to get past the argument.
Yes. And then you said, I know, I'm just still getting over everything that happened, but I want to make up too.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
And then we had our little bonus. You said life is too short to fight though, and then you said, "Can we just bury the hatchet?"
Yeah. Can we just bury the hatchet? And that is that weird archaic one that we don't know. I don't know why we're still using that, but
I
we
don't
are.
know. Yep.
And then you said, okay, let's just forgive and forget. So clearly you were ready. You wanted to, but you were still kind of hanging on. So I had to come to you and say, here's the
Right.
deal.
Yeah.
Let's get past this. Right.
Sometimes it there is a physical response that is necessary to be able to get over something. Do you ever I'm not sure that I'm articulating myself correctly here, but basically, do you ever, if you get disturbed or angry or something, do you sometimes feel you want to, but your body is biologically not letting you, is not ready to move on?
Yeah,
Does that make
probably.
sense
It
at all?
it could be, yeah.
Not even
Uh-huh.
just for an argument, but maybe just something that is something troubling that happened,
Disturbing?
and yeah, maybe something disturbing, or even just a little
Sure.
something, and you just need to, you know that it's not that serious, and you know that you will get past it, but your body has some sort of, I think I read somewhere that the body takes a few minutes to get over from being angry. Sometimes
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
my mind wants to get past something, but my body isn't there. Does that
Oh,
sound
yeah.
strange?
Completely. I think it's probably adrenaline and other hormones that
Yeah.
get pumped into
Yes.
your body. And, historically, that's the hormones we needed to be able, and neurotransmitters to be able to run from the lion, like
Right.
that. Yeah, always comes back to evolutionary
Right.
psychology, right?
Right. So it's
But that
almost
still
feels like
shows up.
you have to
Hmm.
come, it almost feels like you have to like come down from that. If you're at
Yeah.
this heightened place, then your
Hmm.
body is slowly coming down, and okay, I'm going to feel in a sec. Okay, in a second, I just need that time.
Totally,
So
100%.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
and there are some practices like deep breathing, which will bring out the parasympathetic nervous system, right? Because the
Mhm.
sympathetic nervous system is what gets the brain wired up and going and responding, and then the parasympathetic brings it down. From
Mhm.
my lay knowledge of
That
of
sounded
brain
pretty good,
chemistry and that
Lindsay.
kind of
Yes.
thing, right? So just breathing, lowering like the temperature, right? In that way that could
Yes.
strategically, but maybe it's the next day, maybe it's the next week, right? Maybe you're just not there yet, too. That's another thing as well. And that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
As long as you eventually get there for your own good rather than the other person's good. Yeah.
Exactly. You're not holding on to it. It's different to like just need a second to kind of bring it back down, rather than to just say, "No, I'm not even going to try. I'm holding
Yeah.
on to this." Yeah.
Exactly. And also for connection. So it is for the other person. It's for the two of you. And guys, just to remind you, this is not, these phrases are not really for business. They're too personal.
Yeah.
They're showing too much vulnerability that you've been hurt by the person. And that really, it's not the same in a
Yeah.
business setting to show that
Right.
vulnerability. So maybe another day will show you what you would say in business. That could be super interesting, Michelle.
That is
What
a
do you think?
great
Yeah.
idea. Yes, I will get
Yeah.
on that. Make sure you guys are following the Business English podcast.
Yeah, we'll see you over there. And Michelle, thanks for being on the show today and teaching
Thank you.
us these phrases today. Very good stuff.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye,
You
Lindsay.
take care. Bye.